Hey everybody, it's the dawn of a new health CEO, and I'm here, Andy Davis, with Neil Batra. And the dawn of a new health CEO is all about the consumer, how the consumer owns their own choices within healthcare and really can activate that. What a better place, no better place to do that than at the Consumer Electronics Show, where we get to see more than 20 to 25% of the new innovation is focused on digital health. And today we're going to talk to you about really the changing role that digital health and this shift to consumerism has on the physician. So Neil, we've talked about this a lot. Like the physician is engaging in a different way and might have to play a different role. What's that role do you see?
I think the role is a pretty profound one. Historically, consumers have always had an opinion, right? It may not be a loud opinion, it may not be a particularly provocative opinion, but around their health, consumers have always kind of pushed the envelope in terms of what their expectations are. I want house calls, I want more flexibility, I want more data, whatever the case may be. And maybe the system acknowledges or doesn't. I think this moment is interesting because the consumers now are moving from not just the provocateur role of demanding more, they finally have better data and information. It's at their fingertips, it's real time, and there's probably a translation layer increasingly that tells them what it means for them and the actions they therefore should take. All of that empowers the consumer in a way that I think shifts the role of the clinician from leading and being the repository of all insight and data in the world, if you will, to more of a co-pilot role. And I think that is a very provocative comment. I think we are aware of the provocation associated with that. We are certainly not suggesting that that's happening in oncology tomorrow, obviously not. But for other lifestyle conditions and diseases, do you have more information going forward around your pre-diabetic state than maybe the physician you pop in to see for 18 minutes? Probably. And you probably have a better sense for how that fits into your lifestyle and the choices you make. And so that clinician now goes from someone that is leading, that you listen to without necessarily questioning a great deal, to really be more of a side, at your side advisor. Yeah. That is a big time shift for the whole mechanism of how health is actually playing out.
Yeah, and as you were speaking at the CES panel, one of the panelists had mentioned how can this dynamic play out? And like using the finance as an example, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, finance, very similar to your healthcare. You relied on the experts who had the science and the data and the algorithms. How do I invest in stocks?
Yeah.
How do I actually manage my money? How do I retire and retire well? I have pensions and all these other things that are going on. And there's now they're just financial advisors. And really their moment in time where they activate everything that they've learned is in a moment of crisis, right?
Right.
Where you actually can't meet retirement goals, your business goes into bankruptcy. But the other elements of that, they have enough data everyone else has enough data where they play an advisor role. I feel that's the same way for a clinician and the physicians. It's like they shift into that role and only get activated to their fullest extent when crisis happens, when someone needs care. Is that right?
I think that's right. And let's put a finer point on that example. So for example, right now, if I want to plan for my retirement, I have a whole bunch of wealth planner apps, free online, right? Go online and say, retirement apps, retirement calculator, whatever the case is, you've got tools. And so if you're showing up to that financial advisor, you're not coming in blank slate, clean sheet, help me. You're saying, hey, I ran these numbers. Here are my priorities. I want to have this much on an annual basis. Here's the rate of return I'm expecting because of my risk appetite, whatever. And then they're balancing that logic and sort of shaping it with you. But you're coming in with a set of hypotheses and a set of sort of expectations, and they're confirming and improving. That is the direction we're going in with health. I don't think you're walking into the physician-clinician office, white page, saying, I don't feel good. I think you're walking in with some really precise information and you're probing in areas to say, have you considered? And I think that's happening even if you're not particularly health literate, because you have a level of activation as a health consumer that is just simply running its way through our society. And I think I keep coming back to this data point, but over 20% of CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show, is health. It's not the health consumer show, but it turns into that in a major way because you're finding health as a piece of so many of the innovations that are being displayed here on a regular basis.
Yeah, and what I don't hear you saying, and I think this is really important as we think about the dawn of a new health CEO, is that there is no place for clinicians and physicians.
Tremendous place still.
And at some point, regardless of where you're at in your life, you're going to have an event. Cancer, diabetes, like things will happen to an individual who is less managed, less literate, and they're going to require the expertise, the science, the training of this team. but how they get activated, when they get activated, and the data that a consumer is bringing to them now will be robustly different, right?
Without a doubt. And I think it's important then, so let's play this out. If we think the clinician goes the way of the financial advisor, which is more in an advisory role, more in a co-pilot role, more in a support role, what does that mean for the health system? And how do you organize around that where the provider is no longer sort of the center of the universe? I think it's very interesting. I think more offerings get oriented around the consumer. I think the consumer needs some help orchestrating and making these things click together. I think you need more mechanisms to share what the consumer sees around themselves and share that with the clinician or physician in a way that makes it easy for them to digest and maybe activate and opine off of it. So I think it opens the door for a lot of innovations and a lot of places where you see unmet needs that maybe hadn't really been highlighted or existed historically when the physician was the center of the universe and nothing happened until you flowed through that individual.
Yeah, and like I'll end on this because I think it's important. It's a shifting dynamic of the role a physician and clinicians can play, but a huge opportunity if you can capitalize. How do you become that systematic advisor?
Yep. Right? I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah. And so Neil Batra, again, thank you for joining us. Andy Davis.
Great.
The Dawn of a New Health CEO. Go and check it out. Again, we're live at CES. Excited to bring you this.